Hello everyone. Today here is part 2 or video number 2 in this series, a 7-part series, where I touch a little bit more deeply or perspective or sort of give you a sense of what I was thinking about when I made a post on Instagram. And today's is from July of 2016, and I will wait just a few minutes in case someone does want to come on and interact with this while it's live. And I'm keeping these lives, relatively short, 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. So you don't have to take a whole lot of time out of your day, but you can get a little bit of, if you are looking for insight, and insight being one of the triads of the sustainability triad that I work with. Insight is one, implementation is the second, and integration is the third. Now we can change the order of that for different situations and with different strategies. There are ways that you can integrate new ways of living without actually having any new information. I love those. Is that a cardinal maybe? Yes, love those. Love the sound of those. Anyway, there's ways that you can change the sequence. Sometimes we think we need to know information before we start acting differently, behaving differently, perceiving differently, but we don't always have to. Sometimes the knowledge comes after. And there are other times when they're very woven, they're almost intertwined together, where the knowledge and the implementation come together, because the more that you implement any little bit of information, or simply trying something new without information other than knowing that it's available, knowledge comes from that, insight comes from that. So that's a sustainability triad. Okay, so on to today's point, is perceiving a deeper truth with less bias. Preconceived notions, ideas that we think something is going to be a certain way and it's not necessarily. Or we have a perception about what meditation might be. Or we have a perception about what this job might be. We have a bias towards positively or negatively. We might look at situations as a me and you instead of an us. And if someone has a bias towards that, cognitive bias towards that, then it will be very hard to create some sort of community around, okay, what can we do so that everyone gets to move together, instead of what can I do to make sure that I win or lose, because sometimes people want to lose because in their mind that's winning. And so what can we do together to make sure that we improve together? Or what can we do to improve, and maybe that might not be together. Maybe you're in a business partnership, or maybe you're having a conversation and you're realizing as you're exploring it with less bias, you're realizing, okay, this partnership is not working the way it is now. And as soon as you're willing, genuinely willing to look at the reality of that and say, okay, well, maybe this just isn't the best thing for us, then you can explore alternatives. But before you had such a strong bias towards it, you wouldn't have seen any alternatives because you didn't want them to exist. So the more open you are, the more you have your perception freed up. It's less cluttered, less cloudy, and it's cleaner. Information can run through cleaner. The more that it is that way, clean, then the more solutions you'll become aware of. Because the solutions are always there. If you're in a situation in life where you don't know what to do, or if you're thinking there's nothing I can do, I'm just stuck where I am, I'm not gonna. I can't comment on your life in particular, but I have every life that I've known, the person I've known in life even. There's always a way to do something. Whether that way is changing our perspective, whether or not anything changes outside, but our relationship to it changes, life can get better. Sometimes when we change our perspective, what we see as opportunities and solutions change, which is fine, and then you get to decide from there whether or not you want to do it or not, whether or not you want to take action. But what we'll often do is we won't even let action happen, because we assume that there is one way only to move forward. And what if there's not? What if that one way was preventing you from stepping into exploring that way or another? I had a wonderful conversation recently and with someone, and we were talking about, because they were feeling stuck, faced with a decision they didn't want to make, and so they just didn't want to make one around a particular issue. And we very simply can explore and say, well, is that the only option you have? And what the mind will have done before that, it will have done work already and say this is the option, and it will have all these kinds of good reasons why this is the option to choose. And there are times when that is the case, and we need to trust ourselves. So if you're faced with that right now, and you're looking at a way forward, and are convinced that that is the best way forward, I'm not going to tell you not to choose that way. If that is it for you, then that's it for you. I highly recommend talking with people or having someone help you see, perceive, acknowledge ways that weren't previously known to you, and ways to change how you have perceived that one way forward. Because what if that one way forward, and I'm going to use a generic example, what if that one way forward is moving? You're going to move to a different city, and maybe that is the best way forward, but you want to not feel the way you're feeling about it. So let's say you have negative association to that, and you don't want to feel that way, but you have to move anyway. Have to, meaning that's your choice. Given all the variables and options that you're aware of, that is the decision that you're going to make. However, you feel a certain way about it and you don't want to feel that way. Okay, well then maybe you can shift the perspective around the feeling. One way is, how do you feel about moving in general? New things, new people, whether you're moving for a new job or a relationship or a change or anything. And reflect inside of yourself and say, okay, I don't want to move, but I'm going. And I don't know if you're hearing those. I don't know how to turn off. Oh, I could turn off the ringers. Anyway, I'm going to move, but I don't really want to. And if you were to sit for a moment outside of your thinking, very informed choice brain, informed of preference, that is, and say, okay, well, I don't want to go because I'm going to miss all my friends, or oh, my family's not going to be around, or all these other kinds of things. And maybe that be part of it, but then sit behind that for a moment. Say, what else does this remind me of? And we're cleaning biases, we're cleaning perspectives, we're looking at a deeper truth behind what is possibly still true, but just not more complete. So we're looking at a more complete, deeper truth with less bias, so that you can move forward in a decision that you're going to make anyway, and or explore completely different decisions that you may not have become aware of or you discounted before. Many times with clients over the years, they were going to make a decision. We go through a protocol, we go through a journey or meditation or what have you, and afterwards they become aware of something and they wait on it and will make a different decision that turned out to be better. Better meaning it was a healthier outcome for them and the people they were involved with. There are times, if I think back, that sure, someone made the same decision that they were originally planned on it. However, since they brought a different state to it, they brought a different mindset to it, they were able to elicit help and explore different ways of making sure that we're going to make this decision anyway. Let's do the best we can with it. Instead of, we're going to make this decision anyway and just grin and bear it. And not even grin, just bear it. There's a lot of ways to going about that you can change these things around. So that's what I refer to when I'm talking about clearing up the perception, removing strong negative bias. We all have bias because we're all looking through our lens. One person's lens is different than another person's lens. It has natural bias. But you want to remove unhealthy bias that's not letting you perceive a deeper truth of what could be there, and that you can step into a different way forward in a healthier way. Okay, so that's today's exploration. From this was the post in July. I may have been July 8th, if I recall. I just checked the note before I came out here in July 2016 about perceiving truth behind bias, removing bias so you can perceive a deeper truth, and how important that is truly in all areas of your life. To just see what is there instead of just what you want to see. And that's a different video or a different talk, but it's important nonetheless. Great. As always, if you look through any of my Instagram feed, if there's anything there that you want me to explore a little bit more of, or if you're curious about, I'm very happy to address it. The next one is tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, and we'll go through there. Tips to remove unhealthy bias. Okay, communities, you'll need to watch the rest of the video before here. I talked about that a little bit. One more will be to, so the one I mentioned before was, okay, this is how I'm perceiving this, but how else, from the moving example, I have to move anyway, I don't want to move because, and you list the reasons, and then you say, what else does this remind me of? So this feeling now, what else does this remind me of? Oh yes, I remember when I had to change my locker in high school, and I didn't want to do that, and I had a negative association to it. I had to move beside somebody I didn't want to move to, and that kind of thing. That's what I'm talking about. All this kind of things, it would be useful to say, okay, wow, I hadn't realized that actually played a role in how things were working out for you now. So that's one of the tips to remove. Great, wonderful, thanks for the feedback. And feel free to share the videos, comment, link people below that you believe would get value from these. Okay, lots of love to everyone, and we'll talk soon. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern. So for the next, I think I have 5 more. The next 5 days starting tomorrow. There's going to be more. Okay, bye guys.